If I'm being completely honest, it's easy to forget Major League Soccer is even happening right now. Games have of course been paywalled, national media attention is next to nothing. Major League Soccer spent more than 25 years scratching and clawing and fighting its way to be relevant from coast to coast in the United States, only to piss it all away in about 2.5 years' time. For American soccer fans like myself who can recall the likes of Kenny Cooper toiling in the hot-ass Dallas weather, Bobby Convery never quite living up to the hype, the never-ending career of Shea, Salinas, and Tony Meola casually endangering children.
Don't tell your mom, okay?
This should be a moment of sadness and frustration, yet it's not. The USL has stepped up to fill this gap in the market created by Major League Soccer. It's not that MLS fans don't exist, they're not out there. However, the league has siloed itself to the fringes of United States sporting discourse. The deal with Apple TV may have been a cash windfall to the clubs, but it has been absolutely suicidal to the league in terms of being nationally relevant. Hell, the only thing MLS has done in the past 3 years of note was sign Lionel Messi. That may have appealed to glory hunters and kids, but I'm a Cadiz guy, so, call me when you sign Alex Fernandez. Really though, the league strategy was Messi, and when Messi retires and that fad fades away, they were banking on the World Cup co-hosted between Mexico, Canada, and the United States. Don Garber and friends make some money, ride a few waves, and by the time that Apple TV deal ends, MLS could, I guess, reevaluate? But as those running professional sports leagues are wont to do, no one sat down to think of the unintended consequences. And the unintended consequences here of this decision was reversing momentum the league had built up outside of its core fan base. I mean, that is when terrible owners like John Fisher aren't running off their own fans and bitching about a stadium that is only 10 years old and one that was built to his very specifications. You can't make this stuff up, folks. By and large though, it feels like MLS is in a worse place than it was a few years back. Now, don't tell this to MLS or those diehard MLS fans out there. They do not want to hear it. In fact, they all point to these weird, highly skewed numbers that don't tell the entire story. Case in point, let's look at Major League Soccer attendance. Major League Soccer won't shut up about how it set an attendance record in 2024 with more than 11 million people going to games. This is true, there's no denying that, but there's far more to the story than meets the eye. For starters, the MLS has been dependent upon a few franchises to drive attendance. Atlanta, Charlotte, and Seattle, Nashville SC, and FC Cincinnati are strong as well, but attendance gains are almost exclusively tied to the Messi effect. He was playing at a full capacity Gillette Stadium against New England, and the same thing happened at Arrowhead Stadium. They advertised him for Vancouver, but that didn't work out so well. However, when you just add these 3 games up, you're talking roughly 200,000 tickets right there. It's good for MLS coffers, but has done little for the league outside of that. The bulk of those attending these matches are not MLS fans, nor are they becoming MLS fans or even Inter Miami fans at that point. They are there for Messi and Messi alone. They'll go watch him play in person, maybe they'll watch his highlights, if you're lucky they'll even buy a Messi shirt, but that's it. It's a situation fine for today, but it is not a sustainable business plan, and I'm not sure Don Garber knows how to tap into the increased interest Messi is bringing, although let's be frank here, I don't know if there's really a way to tap into it. I mean, we're talking about a generational talent here. Lionel Messi did not make Barcelona. The club was popular before he arrived and has been popular since his departure. And that is the case for many well-known European clubs out there. Make no mistake, star players can boost business, but the floor is relatively high. That is not the case for MLS or Inter Miami. You see it in so many markets after Messi has played his one game there. By the end of the season, attendance is back to where it started. Hell, sometimes by the next game, you're back at that level it was previously. More damning for Major League Soccer is visibility or a lack thereof. I mean, MLS Cup final numbers are truly atrocious. It is worrying what's happening right now. Since moving to Apple TV, it's just been a disaster, even though the game itself is broadcast on Fox. 468,000 total viewers tuned in for the 2024 finale. That was down from 890,000 in 2023. And of course, that was a huge drop off from the more than 2 million that watched the MLS Cup final on ABC in 2020. Even before then, most seasons were comfortably above the 1 million viewership mark. I mean, what we saw in 2024 and even 2023 is on par with those dark days of the MLS. 03, 04, the Dallas Burner playing in some high school stadium in Texas. Things would get better as visibility increased for Major League Soccer. Hell, the league even got highlights on Fox Soccer Report. I even learned something new from Jeremy St. Louis right here.
The Quakes christening Buckshaw Stadium with the match, the converted baseball facility on the campus at Santa Clara University.
I had no idea Santa Clara's Buckshaw Stadium was used for baseball, but it was, in fact, a baseball venue as well as soccer and other sports there over the years. And the conversion wasn't quite soccer specific. We do know they used it for rugby down the line as well. Also, speaking of the old Fox Soccer channel, Fox Sports World days, I recently found out Max Bretos had a channel here on YouTube where he covers soccer. It's not quite as good as his Maximum Soccer heyday, but I mean, what is? However, still really good. If you, like me, are a fan of the old Fox Sports World crew, I do recommend going and checking that out. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. Anyway, the rapid fall of MLS Cup final ratings mirrors a similar trend being seen with MLS in the national sporting discourse. It is fading away if you are not a fan in an MLS city with an engaged fan base. I mean, and even then, those scenarios are hit and miss. You wouldn't know the earthquakes existed unless you lived within a few mile radius of the stadium. The Colorado Rapids just sort of feel like they are there, they exist at this point in time. Things have not been quite right with Sporting Kansas City since their 2010s heydays either. Yes, MLS still has fans and there are some out there who talk about the league, but it ain't at the level it used to be at for a league that fought so hard to be recognized nationally. To see them gain that recognition and then toss it away haphazardly, I just don't understand why. What the hell was the thinking here? Forget about all the other things for a second. The San Diego ownership screw job, trying to weasel out of the US Open Cup, just doing stupid things. Is MLS truly better off today than it was 7 or 8 years ago? Financially speaking, of course, it's definitely better off. As far as on-pitch quality of play, I mean, it may be fractionally improved, but it's not a night and day difference. I reckon the ticket price situation still isn't all of that bad. It's maybe not as good as it was a few years ago, but prices aren't spiraling out of control or anything like that. On the other hand, there is certainly far less visibility for Major League Soccer today. Dwindling TV numbers allowed the USL to gain a foothold it really should have been allowed to gain in the first place. Let's just be really real here. If Major League Soccer was doing business the right way, if they were taking care of all the things they needed to be taken care of, they would have brushed aside all competitors. For the USL to gain as much traction as it has in a few years' time is an absolute malpractice from Don Garber. USL is far more accessible than the MLS in the here and now, and quite frankly, it's just more fun. It's more fun to be a part of. It's more fun to watch. Where would the MLS be if it wasn't for Messi? I'm guessing since the league refuses to divulge any details on its Apple TV viewership, it's bad. This is an entity that will brag about how many TikTok engagements it receives. Those steering this ship, who have shown an ability to transform any bad number into something remotely favorable, can't even polish that turd. Don't get me wrong, the MLS isn't going away forever. It still has quite a few local markets that are really strong, but from the national big picture, it is a sports league that is disappearing before our very eyes. This is something that should be shocking for those who spent the 2000s and 2010s watching MLS rise to the point it became cool. Yet, like so many things that also seemed cool from that era, it opted to chase money, and you just may enrich yourself doing that, but at what cost? For the MLS, those robust coffers meant tossing away decades of hard work and chasing away many of those who were along for the ride. So to you, Don Garber and all the other MLS owners, best of luck when all those messy glory hunters turn their attention elsewhere. You're definitely going to need it. And long live the USL. Thank you for watching this video. I'm Shea Hollis, president of the Bobby Convery fan club. If you'd like to know more about Sacramento's weird failed bid to get an MLS expansion franchise in the mid-1990s, video upper left-hand corner of your screen, and for how the Kansas City Wizards lost their original name, The Wiz, to a defunct electronics store, video lower left-hand corner. Until next time, I already said my name, so I guess all we got to do now is say hashtag take it out to the 25.